Well, welcome back, Raider Nation. This is Raider Sparks coming at you with another video on the Raider roster report. We're getting close to the draft. We got one day left till Christmas. It's coming up soon, so I thought I'd put out my final mock draft, my best mock draft. Hopefully you guys watched my last video 2 days ago about the 5 mock drafts I did. I sort of based my perfect mock draft, which is somewhat of I try to do a little bit of a prediction, but sort of also what I thought would make the most sense as far as those players. But really those 40 players that I gave in the mock draft were sort of my favorite players in the draft. So if the Raiders took any of them, I think it'd be great. But yeah, I tried to put together a realistic type mock draft. I did do one trade, and so we're gonna get to that. But I also mentioned in the other video, I'd talk about the UDFA players I'd like to see the Raiders target as well. So I think I'll start with that, and I'll leave the mock draft, my perfect mock draft, for after the video. But I'm going to put in the description on this video all the players I talk about as far as the UDFA guys, and then my perfect mock draft as well. But let me know what you think about the UDFA, but also the mock draft, and maybe put your perfect mock draft in there. Anyways, yeah, so looked at a lot of players this year. I had a lot of fun with the draft. A lot of great players, a lot of people, or a lot of players I think can help the Raiders. So should be fun tomorrow during the draft to see what we do in the first round. That'll set up the whole rest of the draft. But the first round is always a lot of fun. See how the trades and things like that go down. So I won't spend much time on the players. It's just I've been watching so many different players and sort of watching interviews on these guys and things like that. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight the guys I think would be great for the Raiders, whether it be UDFA or drafted and things like that. So if I look down, I'm just going to read off my page. And again, I'll put it in the description as well. But let me know who some of your target guys are. So let's get into it. So I have 35 UDFA, and I'll be honest with you, I did a whole video about 85 players, draft and UDFA players. So to get down to 35 UDFA players after I did 40 guys on the draft, it seems like a lot, but it's really not once you start doing it. Especially in UDFA, you kind of want to hit all of the positions, because typically they kind of go after a lot of different positions. And so yeah, I just tried to hit on those guys and find some diamonds in the roughs. And a lot of these are long shots, just kind of fun players that I saw as we kind of went through the process. So let me know what you think. So for me, the quarterback I would go after and target as a UDFA would be Tanner Mordacai out of Wisconsin. Just think he's a mobile quarterback, but a pocket passer as well. 65% completion percentage. He got hurt a little bit last year, so the numbers weren't quite as high. I think threw for 9 touchdowns, but rushed for 4. And again, they a strong running attack as well, so they didn't need to throw for as many touchdowns. But I really felt like he had a good accuracy, a pretty good arm strength, but just had that mobility within the pocket, and could get out and run as well. And his pro day was great. He tested really well as well. So that's a guy I think the Raiders should target. And then if we look at running back, I think if we miss out on a speed back during the draft, because I think we could definitely use third down type of back, and that UDFA might be a perfect spot to get him. Basically because, I mean, we have Sincere McCormick, and we don't know about him, and Amir Abdullah is getting a little older. So if we do not address that in the draft, I think it'd be wise to give it a shot, especially with the kickoff rules. You know, if we have a shifty guy back there, that could really help. So I went with Chris Collier out of Lock Haven. If you haven't heard about him, his pro day was insane. Really like doing Laube out of New Hampshire. Short shuttle, fast guy. He's not quite as big, but he's stocky. Right? He's 5'10", 5'11", 203, but really fast. He had 5 games where he rushed for over 100 yards. He was 5th in the nation all-purpose yards, so he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can return kicks and do all of those things. And so he's a pretty electric player if you haven't checked him out yet. And then if we did want to go with a power back, I still like Noah Cain out of LSU. Didn't get a ton of touches, but when he did, you could see him run through the tackles, between the tackles. Really good, strong, powerful runner. He could probably even be a fullback maybe. So somebody to keep an eye on, somebody I really liked watching. Again, not a lot of touches, but definitely pro potential there. Not a great pro day, but I'm not too worried about the 40 time with him, because his game is, I think, going to be more based on power. And then at fullback, Ernest Crownover from Texas A&M. I've talked about him as well. I think he's going to fit in any Shanahan style, West Coast type offense. really well. And so I'm pretty sure we'll bring in a fullback. We don't have one on the roster yet. Most likely a veteran, but hey, why not? If a UDFA was good enough and you want to bring him into camp for competition, I say go ahead and do it. And so that's the guy that I noticed and that I really liked during the process. And then as far as receivers go, I have 3. And again, I'm not going to do more than 2 in one position, but the wide receiver that I like, and I use PFN. I think this guy's going to get drafted, but they often don't have him drafted, is Bub Means out of Pittsburgh. I'm sure a lot of you guys heard about him, but we need speed, right? We need speed in our receiver room, and so that's what I'm trying to accomplish here with this, is to get more speed, especially in the outside. If we can do that, that would be great. And then Xavier Weaver out of Colorado. He's mainly outside at Colorado, but played about 20% in the slot. I think in the NFL, he's probably going to be reverse of that just because of his size. He's 6 foot. But he only weighed in at his pro day at 169. But, you know, he's got to put on weight for sure, I think. But he's electric on the field, and he's made a lot of big plays for Colorado. So if he does go undrafted, I think he'd be a great pickup for the Raiders. And then finally, I talked about him before too. Again, we need more speed. Slot guy, Mason Tipton out of Yale. Low 4.3s guy, really good hands, solid possession receiver as well. I think it would add a lot of value because we definitely need some more speed in the receiver room. All 3 of these guys would bring, especially Bub and Mason. Those guys are extremely fast guys. So yeah, so that's what I think. Bub isn't quite straight line fast, but he's big, right? He's 212, so you know it's kind of relative, right? Versus these other guys, but I think Mason Tipton is actually legit speed. So, and then the tight end I have is Devin Culp out of Washington. I think he's going to be a playmaker in the NFL. I really do. He didn't get a lot of chances at Washington when he did. He definitely can get some yak for you, that type of thing. So, good player. Then I've got several offensive linemen. A lot of these guys have position versatility, but I see them as guards, and I'll just go through them quick. Jarrett Kingston at USC, very good player. I think he'd be great at right guard for us. Cole Spencer out of Texas Tech won some awards, things like that, but they use him a lot to block in space. Really good pro day. Didn't like his 10-yard split, which is, I think, probably why he's maybe going undrafted. But other than that, man, he is a fantastic player. He can really block, and I think he's using the way that we would use our guards. He pulls a lot. Gets out in space, gets down the field and blocks. He's a really good player. Gottlieb as Ayedze, I'm not sure how to say his name, but out of Maryland. He's a tackle guard. Again, very, very good athlete. He's got some work to do, but he had a pretty solid offseason so far too, but extremely athletic, would fit into our system. And then a long shot, Leondre from Mars. I don't know what his pro day times were or anything like that, but he's just an ass kicker. If you watch him play, played right tackle a lot. Probably most likely be a guard, but man, this guy just mauls people, man. He's great to watch. We've had success as Raider fans. Denzel Good out of Mars, so why not give it a shot again? But I'd love to see this guy in camp, see what he could do. I think it'd be great. And then Donovan Jennings out of UCF. Very powerful blocker. Maybe not quite as athletic as maybe we want, but pretty good athlete, really, especially for his size. Again, some of these other guys are in the 310 range. He's up in the 320, 325 range, so it's kind of relative. But definitely an ass kicker on the line. I just like the way the guy plays. And then round out the offense, Tylen Grable, UCF. I see him definitely as a tackle, but what an athlete. He would definitely fit in our system as a swing tackle, or maybe even eventually start as a right tackle. But yeah, really solid player. So those are my offensive guys that I'd like to see the Raiders try to target. The defensive side, I got a lot more just because on the mock draft, I went more heavy on offense. I thought probably make more sense to go heavier on defense during this. And so edge, a true edge guy, like all the measurables you'd want from an edge. Justin Blazek out of University of Wisconsin, Platteville, I think. I'm not sure. But really solid, good testing, good production. He's got everything, all the makeup that you'd want, all the physical characteristics of a true edge. And then I looked at some edge D tackle guys to kind of give Tyree a little competition. Jonah Laulu out of Oklahoma, really good tester. All the categories, right? Not just one particular category, but all the categories. He tested really well. Not as quite as productive at Oklahoma as maybe you would want, but he was definitely, you know, the coaches all said he was their best lineman. And actually, the Raiders actually have spoken to him at one of the, I think at his pro day. So I think there is some interest there. And then Tremaine Bell out of UTSA. Twitter reported he had a 150 10 split, which would be the fastest of anybody at the combine over 250 pounds. And he did it at 273 pounds. So this is extremely quick. If I'm any defensive line coach at all, if I see a 10 split that fast, why not go for it, right? And see what you can develop. Draft Scout has been 160, but either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's insane quickness for a guy that size. So give that guy a shot. And then like a true 3 tech, but actually I kind of cheat on this one. He's probably edge D tackle, but I think he's switched because he got heavier. He's up to like 286, I think. Fidelius Payne out of Virginia Tech. Unlike the other two guys, although Tremaine was somewhat productive, Payne was actually very productive. He had, I think, over 10 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. Played a lot of edge, but he's converting to D tackle. But again, like a 165 10 split, and just an incredible athlete. And he's got good length too. That's the other thing. He's got 33-inch arms too. And I noticed the trend in a lot of these tackles and edges is shorter arm guys and stuff like that. So for him to come in at 33-inch arms and have that kind of quickness, I think that's definitely a guy that you give a shot to. And then true defensive tackles, guys that get 3 tech are smaller nose tackle types or play in the A gap just because they're super strong. Kyler Baugh out of Minnesota, I really liked his game. Very, very productive at Minnesota. Definitely think he can come in and upgrade the defensive line for us. And then Jordan Miller, I went back and looked at him at the Shrine Bowl, and I kept seeing this white helmet pop, and I kept thinking it was Evan Anderson. It wasn't. It was actually Jordan Miller out of SMU, which, you know, I think he's going to be probably play more A gap and just has to put on some more weight. He's like 305. I think if we get him up to 315, 320, 6'2", that kind of a build as a nose tackle. But he's got good length as well. He's over 33-inch arms. Pretty good quickness, that type of thing. So I thought he popped more than a lot of the other guys that people keep talking about at the Shrine Bowl on the line. Maybe a little bit more inconsistent, but overall pretty good. And then a true nose tackle, Justin Rogers. I've talked about him before. He's just a mountain of a guy out of Auburn. No pass rush, but I mean, if you want a guy to eat up double teams, why not? And then for inside linebacker, somebody to back up Spillane, Bryce Gallagher out of Northwestern. I thought he was solid, over 100 tackle guy a year. Just a true solid middle linebacker type guy. And then the other guy I would like for the position would be Joe Andreessen out of Buffalo. Really good athlete. I like him too because he's, well, Bryce is 6'2", 235, which is like perfect size. Joe is 6 foot, which is a little bit maybe shorter, but okay. But he's 240, but he moves great. Good zone and coverage. He hits too, and so I really liked his game out of Buffalo. I think he's a solid player. And then sort of will linebackers, Still Chambers. I still like him out of Ohio State. People dog him after the pro day, but there's mixed reports out of his pro day. He either ran a 4.58 or a 4.78. There's multiple reports of different things. I see on tape a more closer to the 4.5 guy than I do the 4.7 guy. I talked about a specific play he made that I really opened my eyes, and so I'm going to tend to believe he's faster on the field than whatever his 40 time was, and I think he's a solid linebacker. And then a guy I just discovered is Craig Young out of Kansas, and I think actually one of my other YouTubers might have pointed him out to me as well. But extremely fast, really athletic. Played a lot of safety and then converted to linebacker. He's from Ohio State and tried linebacker, safety, whatever. But he's kind of coming to his own now. Extremely long. I mean, similar athleticism and size to Edrin Cooper, actually. I mean, it's pretty close. Edrin's got a little edge on him, but I mean, this guy's an up-and-coming player, and if the Raiders got their hands on him, I'd love to see what Pierce could do with a guy like that, man. He's going to be a solid pro, I think. And then safety / linebacker guys, so kind of the dime linebacker guys. A couple guys I kind of noted I kind of liked. Carl Jones Jr. out of UCLA, kind of a 4.5 guy. Only 219, but he probably has to put on a little weight to kind of maybe play the linebacker spot. It's ultimate where he'll be, but good in coverage, solid player. Played him on the edge too, so surprisingly. But I think he's definitely, on his pro day and his drills, is extremely smooth. And I know the Raiders took note of it too. They were there at this pro day. I read somewhere that they would looked at him as well. And so that's somebody that could be on their radar. And then a guy I like too, great pro day, Amani Johnson out of Nevada. I really thought his pro day was great. Had over 100 tackles. Again, could be a kind of a dime linebacker. Could switch to maybe linebacker in the pros or just play strong safety or whatnot. But really solid player. Yeah, good testing numbers. Everything's there. Everything's there for him. The outside cornerback, this guy is getting drafted. I don't know why PFN, but Quatez Stigers, I think everybody talks about him out of Toronto. He's a really good player. And then Chigozie and Uizim, I'm not sure how to say his name, out of Colorado State. I think he's going to be a solid outside cornerback too in the pros. And I believe at the Shrine Bowl, the Raiders talked to him, or if not at his pro day or one of the workouts, he had a conversation with the Raiders as well. So I think he also might be on the radar. And as far as slot cornerbacks go, I mean, I think this guy's getting drafted. Beanie Bishop out of West Virginia, great testing. I mean, just ball skills, everything you'd want. And then the last slot guy I have is Russell Dandy out of Eastern Illinois. Solid pro day. He had, depending on where you look, between 17 and 19 pass deflections last year, which led the nation. So guy gets his hands on the ball. I think he played mainly outside. I think he's built as a slot. He doesn't quite have the long speed, but the short shuttle, the short area quickness, it's all there for him. He's a hard worker. I saw an interview with him and kind of how he trains and stuff. Just impressed. Just kind of impressed me, really. Free safety, Akeem Dent out of Florida State. Like his game. I think he could add some value to our safety room. And then Cam Allen out of Purdue. You know, he gets his hands on the ball, gets a lot of interceptions. Very good athlete as well. He's got that short shuttle, that short area quickness, everything you need. I think he could do multiple roles in the safety, so that'd be a nice pickup for us. And then to round out the UDFA list, I've got Jalen Key out of Alabama as a strong safety. I think he's getting drafted. Both these next guys, I think, are getting drafted, but PFN has him not drafted. I'm not sure why he's not getting looked at as much. He had like a 4.0 short shuttle. That alone gets you drafted, so I'm not really sure. And being from Alabama, so I don't know what's going on with him, but he played at the Shrine Bowl. I thought he played well. A few mistakes here and there, but I mean, gosh, for UDFA, yeah, you give it a shot. And then Ryan Watts again at the Shrine Bowl. He's switching from outside cornerback to safety, and he doesn't have the long speed either. But man, he's a gamer. I think he works hard. It seems like all the coaches are raving about the guy, and he's a great tackler. In fact, him and Terry on Honor will right up there as the best tackling cornerbacks. So that's exactly what you want, like as a strong safety. So let me know what you think of those guys. And so we're going to get to it right now. The ultimate draft based on my 5 previous mock drafts that I did. I tried to make it as realistic as possible as kind of where these guys are going to be drafted at. And so round 1, pick 13, I guess. I won't do the picks. I don't write them down. I cheated. I have Fuaga. However, I don't think he's going to be there. So if Fuaga's not there, Fontenot. So I think, and even Troy Fontenot might be higher on the list. I'm not sure, but so I'll say Troy Fontenot. If Fuaga's there, I say we take him. But anyways, it's not a fan draft. It's kind of try to be a little bit more predictive, and so I'll say Troy Fontenot here. And round 2, this was tough for me, but going through everything and trying to and looking down the road, I started out with different keys. 2 of the keys had to do with the offensive. I started out with 5 keys to be successful. 2 of the keys were on the offensive line. This was with the linemen, and then one of the keys was a playmaking defensive back, ideally an outside cornerback. And then if that outside cornerback has versatility, and it's hard to find that guy in the draft, but Max Melton is that guy. Outside of Quinion Mitchell, I think Max Melton is right up there with him. So he's one of my top cornerbacks in the draft, and we pick him in the 2nd round. He's going to be a starter for us. So we got 2 starters, a right tackle and a cornerback to start the draft. So I really like that. And then 3rd round, I cheated again. Jalen Polk, if he happens to fall, sometimes he does in the PFN. I doubt he will, but I love Jalen Polk. I think he's going to be a great pro. He's got good size, great hands, great at the catch point. But I think more realistically, and if this was going to be a more predictive Jack, Ricky Pearsall would probably be more like it, especially given that Arizona State contact, given the round 3. And so, yeah. So really, I want a receiver that is a deep threat, although Jalen Polk's 40 time doesn't really necessarily show he's a deep threat. Watch the tape. He's a deep threat. And then Ricky Pearsall's 40 time was actually surprisingly faster, 4.41. So that's really good. But the only down thing I have with him is his weight. I think he needs to put on some pounds to be able to handle press coverage a little bit better. But, you know, I just want a receiver that can run out of the slot and on the outside, because Adams and Myers are going to be running a lot in the slot. So if we can get a guy that can complement that as our third receiver, I think we win. I think either one of those guys would be great. So I'll go with Pearsall as a predictive part, because I think it's more realistic for him to be there in the 3rd round. But so yeah, so we have Troy Fautanu, Max Melton, and Ricky Pearsall as the predictive draft. And then round 4, Brandon Coleman out of TCU as our starting guard, or potentially starting guard. I think he's an awesome player, extremely athletic. If you watch him in the Senior Bowl, the first 3 plays of the game when they were on offense, he played left guard and he pulled every time. And that's the type of blocker he is. He blocks on the move. He played tackle. He's got the feet for it. He could probably play tackle for us too if we want him to. Extremely athletic, and I just think he fits everything that we'd want. Great length, everything that we would want in our guard or tackle, he has it. And I think making him play him on the left side, play him left guard, so you don't have 2 rookies on the same side. Bring Parham over to the right guard. I think you got a solid line there. So in the 5th round, Dylan Laube, I think he out of New Hampshire, running back. I think he opens up everything for our offense. He gives that 3rd down back, the pass catcher. He could play slot receiver. He can do a ton of things. He's going to be a good pro. He reminds me so much of Eckler that, I mean, come on, let's just draft him. And then plus the running game, I mean, the kick return game, he'd be great in it. The short shuttle's amazing for him. He's got good size. I mean, there's a lot to like about this player. And then here's what I have us trading up to the 5th round. So the 6th and 7th, one of our 6th and 7th round picks. I do have a trade up to come get McKinley Jackson out of Texas A&M. I do think that we should get and will get at some point, whether it's UDFA or the draft, a nose tackle type that has a little potential to rust the passer, just to put him alongside of Wilkins. And I think McKinley Jackson is the best in the draft as far as that category. Plus, he has the length. Most of these other guys that we're looking at have no length. They're all short arm guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys I liked, a lot of guys I want to like Christian Boyd and Evan Anderson and Jalen Hutchins and a few more guys, but they just, you could tell that the arm length is just going to be an issue for those guys. But McKinley Jackson, not so much. He's a tank. He's 330 pounds. He's going to be a good nose tackle, and he's got a great first step. And so the numbers aren't there, but I mean, I heard a comparison to Tomlinson from the Giants, and so I figured, well, that makes sense with with Patrick Graham. He did wonders with him. Why not with McKinley Jackson? So I got to straighten up for McKinley Jackson in the 5th round. And then to round out the draft, 7th round, I'll get our safety, Thomas Harper out of Notre Dame. Of course, we got to get a Notre Dame guy in here. But anyways, that's our draft. So you heard the caveats I laid out with Fuaga and Polk. But essentially, my predictive draft for the Raiders had one trade. Trading his 6th and 7th round to get an extra 5th round pick. So 1st round, I have Troy Fautanu. 2nd round, cornerback Max Melton. 3rd round, wide receiver Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. 4th round, Brandon Coleman, guard out of TCU. 5th round, Dylan Laube, running back out of New Hampshire. 5th round, McKinley Jackson, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. And to finalize the draft, the 7th round safety, Thomas Harper out of Notre Dame. Anyways, please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Give me your best mock drafts for the Raiders. Want to hear what you guys have to say. Hope you liked the video, and I hope we have some good reports coming out of the draft. Anyways, I'm excited. Hope you guys are as well, and I will talk to you later. Thanks a lot.